Hello, everybody. Welcome to TD Mosaic Noon Talks. I'm Asma. Arshad Mahmood. I'm the Artistic Director for CCI, Canadian Community Arts Initiative, a non-for-profit organization that puts together TD Mosaic Festival, Rock the Coliseum Indie Music Festival, and MISA Film Festival in Mississauga. We are generously supported by Canada Council, Ontario Arts Council. We are presenting partner is TD Canada, and we have Laziz Shawarma, Greenwich Health Products as our sponsors. We also get huge support from City of Mississauga, Celebration Square, and of course Canadian Heritage, Province of Ontario, and Factor. So thanking all our sponsors. We are here celebrating the 15th anniversary of Mosaic Festival, which started in 2006. Today I have a few celebrity guests with us. And first we will have an opportunity to talk with beautiful, multifaceted talent of Shweta Subramaniam, who performed for Mosaic Festival in 2009. This was the year, our brochure. And then we are going to talk to Tarun from Delhi to Dublin, who were our headliners for 2015. So let's start with the amazing talent, Shweta Subramaniam. Welcome to Mosaic Noon Talks, Shweta.
Thank you so much, Asma, for having me. It's a pleasure being here today. And wow, it's phenomenal to be a part of Mosaic once again after so many years. When you were talking about me being on in 2009, I'm like, wow, that brings back so many beautiful memories. So I wish we could go back on stage again, but this is fabulous. Thanks to technology, we are here.
Yeah, no. I've been thinking about you, and I've been discussing that with Sumit, my programming partner. And I've talked about you so many times, but you've been traveling so much. Now you're based in Dubai, I guess. So let me tell you, the first time I saw Shweta, I was at Desi Fest, and I go there every time. Love that festival, and in Toronto, and I saw this tiny, beautiful girl holding the stage attention of entire audience to such an extent. There was such a stage presence that I was like, who is this person? And I said, we must have her at Mosaic Festival. And then I remember you came, you opened the festival. At that time, the festival was about 3 or 4 days long because we had the film component. One night was the film night, Thursday nights were the film nights. Outdoor film nights. Then there was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Friday night you opened the stage, and you were such a powerhouse. And I remember this was the year. This was the brochure of our festival, and this is the good thing about Mosaic, that every year we print a festival brochure which has all the information. So and you came on stage. We loved you, and ever since we've been trying to get you back. But tell me, since Mosaic, how has your journey been? What have you been doing?
Oh, wow. So since Mosaic, lots has happened. I've been, in many different parts of the world. As you know, I used to live in Canada. I am Canadian. So I was based in Toronto for some time. And after that, I moved on to live in the US. So I lived in Charleston, South Carolina for 1 year, and then I lived in California, and now I'm in Dubai. And of course, in between all of this, I get to travel extensively because of my work. As artists, wanderlusts, it takes us everywhere. So we wander around the world and we entertain people. I'm fortunate of really working with some phenomenal people, some great collaborations. I've worked with a group called the Piano Guys, who are based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. If people haven't heard about them, they've got to check out their work. We did a fusion collaboration of Swedish House Mafia's "Don't You Worry" twist to it. That was my contribution, and that video did really well. It's hitting about 23 million views online now. It's doing absolutely phenomenally well. And I got to collaborate with Sultans of Strings. I got to open in Saudi Arabia, like thanks to Abhishek Mathur, another awesome,
Absolutely
awesome,
phenomenal.
awesome
It's a Marathi brother,
guy.
right?
Uh, yes, you're Rocky brother and someone who I adore and love absolutely. So I had the good fortune of opening first female vocalist with Shan in Saudi Arabia. I've also got to tour
Amazing.
with Sonu Nigam. So lots has been happening, and also have obviously worked in Bollywood with Ayushmann Khurrana. I did a song in Hawai Zada, and also for a Tamil film, I did my first regional film playback as well. So, in a nutshell, so much has happened. It's been great to be, on different stages, different platforms like the IFA Awards with Salim Suleiman, and also performing at the Carnegie Hall in New York, which is such an honor for any artist. So I'm trying to put everything in a nutshell, trying to remember everything I've done, but obviously I'm bound to miss a few things. But I'm really grateful for all these opportunities.
Lovely. Shweta, I remember that you were one of those artists who have been working with the uh, artist, you producing your own material on internet. And that
Mm-hmm.
happened before. Now we are all doing it. And you were doing it before everybody else. So I remember seeing your beautiful videos, which you would just put the camera in front of you and you would record and you would do the Facebook Live or Instagram or Insta stories and all that. So that was really you were ahead of the curve at that time as well.
Yeah, so you're right. I started off pretty early, but then what happens is in the beginning when people take time to get onto that bandwagon of like when you feel like, oh, we have a very small audience when I started off. So I did that for some time, and then I stopped in between, which I shouldn't have, because but it's very difficult to kind of maintain a balance with everything, because when you're constantly traveling, you're doing concerts, you're trying to maintain your social media as well, and it's just not one platform. There's so many. There's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's Snapchat. There's so many different platforms. So trying to maintain all of that and being consistent is so important. But it was it's definitely a great platform to start off, and as you can see, there's so much talent out there now, and everyone's out there, and you get to hear so many beautiful voices every day.
What has been your primary concern, and what has been keeping you busy in these turbulent times? Since past 4 months, we've been kind of hunkering down with COVID related scenario in our lives. So, what has been your way of strengthening yourself, and how do you feel at this time?
So, this sounds crazy, but actually, I'm in love with the past 4 months, because this has given me an opportunity to slow down. It's given me an opportunity to actually reevaluate. What am I supposed to? What are the things that I'm supposed to truly hold significant? In the sense that with my music as well, it's given me an opportunity to do a lot of riyas. Because हमेशा कहते हैं कि रियाज करना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है, like for
Yes,
singers,
absolutely.
and we try and do as much as riyaz as possible, like सुबह उठ के 1 घंटा करते हैं. But I think it's now that this lockdown has happened, plenty of time to do riyaz, learn new songs, listen to different kinds of music, not just Indian music, but listen to different styles of music, and study like how even though music is universal, like just compare different styles of music. A lot of videos. I've got to collaborate with a lot of different artists, which is great. In fact, I actually collaborated with another fabulous artist, Sarah Tavar, who's out of Toronto, a drummer. I work a lot with her. So I got to do stuff with her. I got to meet other musicians online who reached out to me and said, let's work on some things together, because I have a setup at home. Let's record. So, and also, okay, music is one thing, but you get a lot of valuable family time, which is so beautiful. Your family really, we're always longing for that, that valuable time with our families. Like, yaar, 5 minute बैठो, बात करो. But now we are like, wow, man, we've learned so much about our families. And I've developed a new skill, which is cooking, which is great.
Oh, okay. I was about to come to that because
Yeah.
everybody is apparently baking breads and making cakes and things like that. So, what is your COVID speciality?
Oh my God, I've gone crazy. Like I've done everything from baking cakes to actually learning how to make Indo-Chinese like Hakka food. So I'm actually making Manchurian and chili paneer and all kinds of things. So I've completely taken over the kitchen. And yeah, I didn't even imagine I'd be able to cook all this stuff. But again, thanks to COVID-19, and I would like to say one more thing: people shouldn't get lazy during these times. Sitting at home, keeping a check on your mental health is very important. Your sanity. As you know, we've heard of Sushant Singh Rajput and so many other cases in the past few months. It's very unfortunate to have lost people to depression, and it's bound to happen when you're in lockdown mode, when you're within the four walls of your home. But I think it's like so important to do yoga and meditate and do some exercise and really keep yourself busy, because there's so much we can do. It's just that we look for an excuse. We're like, oh, let's go out, otherwise there's not much to do. But there's actually a lot to do at home.
Any particular song that you think fits your mindset, considering, the environment today?
Sure. Okay. There's a song I can sing by Arshad Singh. Talks about silence. So I'll actually sing a few lines of that. खामोशियाँ आवाज है, तुम सुनने तो आओ कभी, जो कर तुम्हें खिल जाएंगी, घर इनको बुलाओ कभी, इकरार है बात करने को, कहने दो इनको जरा, खामोशियाँ तेरी मेरी, खामोशियाँ खामोशियाँ लिपटी हुई. So that's a few lines
Beautiful.
of that song.
There was a little lapse because I think of the internet connection, but it is a beautiful rendition. Shweta, can you just move a little bit towards this, towards your other side, because you are cutting off. So just center yourself a bit. That's perfect.
Better?
Yeah, this is good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, when you sing, you tend to move a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Because I don't want you to miss out on your placement. So this was lovely. And we've got people asking questions about, oh my God, Randir Singh Walia King. He is talking about, he's talking about Mosaic. We'll be missing the fun to be there live, but again, great effort. Thank you. You're welcome, Randir. Ask us, ask questions. Such a talented lady is with us. And Mohammed Hassan is really pleased to see you, Shweta. Hemant Pawar, Sahab Rana is there. And Arshad Mahmood asking Shweta, how was your Saudi experience? How was it performing in Saudi Arabia, of all places?
Oh, that was amazing. I mean, I didn't expect, the response to be so fabulous, because, you go with a lot of preconceived notions, especially when Saudi Arabia is having a concert of that's such an outdoor festival. They haven't really had that ever before. So, you obviously are a little apprehensive. You're wondering how it's going to go. And there were 15,000 people out there. So much love for music. It didn't matter if you were South Asian or not. There were Saudi nationals. Everyone was out there having such a good time, cheering you on and asking for more. And in fact, a lot of them have become fans on Facebook and Insta as well. In fact, someone just shared a video of one of my performance with Shan from Saudi Arabia recently. So, it just goes to show that it's been a year, 2 years since that performance, but people still love it and they remember it and they still listen to it. So, yeah, it was.
So were there more Saudis there, or were there expats there? What was the sensation? What kind of audience do you think you had?
I think it was a great mix actually, because I didn't really get to go into the crowd so much because there was a lot of security. People in masses. I mean, all the way to the road. So it was but a good mix from what I could see, and for the messages I get as well. I noticed that there were Saudi nationals, there were expats, there were Indians that live in Saudi Arabia, and South Asians that live in Saudi Arabia. So really nice mix of people. People love music.
Okay, fabulous. So, any new song that you're working on nowadays? Any new creative effort?
Yeah, so I've actually worked on a lovely song. I just actually was about to make a trip to Mumbai in the month of March for a composition of mine called "Dil Mera Kyun Tadpaye Dil," uh, and it was beautifully produced by a guy in California, a producer in California by the name of Janapriyan. We put it together so beautifully, and I was about to shoot in by March, but unfortunately, because of the COVID situation, I didn't end up going. But that's something I'm looking forward to shooting when things get better and releasing. I've also put together a video for a song that I worked with Josh, with Roop and Q.
Hmm.
It's a lovely song called Doli, very fun, vibrant song. And plus, I'm writing a lot and writing a lot of songs, composing. A lot of these inspirations, these ideas come out when you least expect it. You're walking, you see something, and then you have some ideas and you write it down, and you convert that into lyrics and you convert that into a song. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of collaborations with other artists, and I'm working on my own material.
Lovely. I really like this thing that you easily move into singing non-South Asian languages, like you sing in English, and you've made doing these collaborations over the years. So these collaborative efforts, have you thought about working on an album? Because you see, in order to get that recognition for national awards and all that, for our Junos and all, you need to have, a song or a collaborative album or something like that. So have you thought about that lately?
Yeah, you know what? The interesting thing, Asma, it's a very good question that you asked me, because if you, the truth is, I actually have enough content that I can easily create an album, and that is something I must get to doing, because I have so many solo compositions that are on YouTube. From because in 2011, 2010, I started off with my first single, Gile. I went on to Ajuba. I've done Pia. I've done so many singles, but never really put them in an album. You're that way I can get more involved with the Junos, and there's so much support in Canada for independent musicians, and so I should really get to doing that. Thank you for reminding me and pushing me. I need people like you telling me get on with it.
Absolutely. Look into the new funds that are coming up for production and media production. So to help you along. So of course, Arshad Mahmood wants to know the personal life. He doesn't know that you are already married. And sorry, Arshad. So how is the time with hubby coming along?
Oh, the time is beautiful, but of course he's working insane hours, so I'm not sure if that's a great thing or not. You would think that COVID-19 would ease things down, but it's the opposite. It's really the opposite. He's working insane hours. So yeah, it's a great time. Just having your family at home with you, even if they're working, it's fine. At least you know that you're there for each other. So it's brilliant.
Lovely. So Dhruv Naik, of course, Dhruv, you just heard the answer. She is working on new projects, and we are going to keep pushing her to get down to doing new album, because we want her to get into the Juno run. Rashid Abbas is saying hi. Hemant Pawar, a beautiful musician and an excellent Kathak dancer. He is also listening, watching you. Yes. So Shweta, but one very thing that we are all working on. You talked about the mental health issue. What about the? I'm very curious to know, how do the fans? How are your fans? Do you feel sometimes that some bullying coming along? How do you deal with it? This is something we want to know.
as artists, right? There's always a very nice and bright side to being an artist, to being, on social media, to being a celebrity. You get a lot of love, but you also get a lot of flack. And I've seen that personally, even on my fan page when I do live sessions. I get a lot of love. People keep sending me a list of songs they want to hear from me, and it's lovely. For the most part, it's lovely. But I have to point this out that being first of all, being a woman, sometimes you get like obnoxious comments, very very sexual comments, and sometimes they make remarks that you don't want to even read. You want to just ignore it and just get on with the live session, because it's hard to keep that straight face when you read some of the comments, because you're like acknowledging your fans. You do shout outs. You tell people like, hi, hello, thanks for requesting this song, and then you're moving on to the next comment, and then you read something that's not very good, and you're just trying to like keep a straight face. So artists go through a lot, and they keep a lot within themselves. They really lock it up within themselves, and but it's something that we have signed up for. There's no point of complaining. It's the kind of profession where you are going to get a lot of love, but you're going to get a lot of hate, flack, and you have to take it all in.
Yeah, no, it's very brave, because you guys are putting your literally all yourselves on display, and then the audience reaction, and you realize that sometimes people don't realize how hard it is to be an artist, to go out there and give so much of yourself online and talking to people. But great, it's good. You need to keep your wits about, and you need to make sure that people understand where you.
And one more thing, Asma, you really can't please everyone. Your style of music might be appealing for one, but not for somebody else.
Absolutely.
Whether it's your composition, whether it's your singing style, whether it's the way you look, you can't please everybody. That's something you just have to learn to accept, and be grateful for all the love that you get online and offline as well.
Excellent. So, do we? I think we have some time. We would love to listen to something else, a little something else, which you think would be great for our audience at this time.
Sure. So I'll sing one of my personal favorite songs. Sorry, I tend to move a lot, but I'll try. I'll sing one of my favorite songs. किला सोना तेनू रब ने बनाया, किला सोना तेनू रब ने बनाया, दिल करे देखदा रवा, किला सोना तेनू रब ने बनाया, दिल मुर्दा ने लख समझाया, दिल मुर्दा ने लख समझाया, दिल करे देखदा रवा, किला सोना तेनू रब ने बनाया, सरी गरे सरी सरी गरे दसा, सरी गरे सरी सरी गरे दसा, पद सदा पदा पद सदा गपा, सरी गरे दसा, किला सोना तेनू रब ने बनाया, किला सोना तेनू रब ने बनाया, दिल करे देखदा रवा, किला सोना तेनू रब ने बनाया.
How beautiful, wonderful. So, tell me something. What about? Are you in touch with some Pakistani singers? Do you ever work with them, talk to them? Do you have any idea about Pakistani music scene?
Oh, of course, I love the Pakistani music scene. In fact, one artist that I listen to all the time, a couple of artists actually, the legendary Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab, Rahat Fateh Ali Khan ji, and then of course Sajad Ali as well. I love his songs. I listen to Sajad Ali all the time. In
So have
fact,
you met Sajad? Sajad is in Dubai.
I know he lives in Dubai, and I'm like, okay, I somehow have I want to meet this guy because I just love his songs. In fact, one of my fans introduced me to some of his songs, and it's been nonstop. It's been running on my YouTube channel all day.
I
So
love
I'm a new fan.
such a
Yeah, I'm a new fan.
talented singer.
Such
Yeah,
a beautifully talented artist.
I
So, and
know.
of course, Coke Studio always brings out so many beautiful artists. And I think that the Coke Studio in Pakistan has done an outstanding job when it comes to music and musicianship. They do some amazing work. So, yeah, it would be a dream to perform in Pakistan someday and collaborate with the artists there and really just go there and sing for the audience there. It would be such a dream.
Excellent. Rohel Hayat, I hope you're listening. Shweta is right there in Dubai, and our Canadian artist. Shweta, that's really wonderful. I'm so enjoying this chat, and I know that you have the capacity to, make the wherever you go, where you have a capacity to make your own world around with things, and we hope things get better very soon in the world, and we all get an opportunity to see you and performing right here in Mississauga on the stage for TD Mosaic Festival. So, any parting shot? I just a second. I have Rahul Sattu. He was a lovely singer. Rahul is sending you his best, hearing you after so long. And then Amin loved your previous song.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Anu Daher is here. So they're not making any requests. Whatever you're playing, they're very happy with it. So
I'm glad.
as a parting
I'm doing
shot, what
something
would you
right.
like to perform?
Yeah. So before I go, I'd like to sing a beautiful song. A few lines of that. लग जा गले
Oh,
के फिर हंसी रात हो न हो शायद फिर इस जन्म में मुलाकात हो न हो लग जा गले के फिर हंसी रात हो न हो शायद फिर इस मुलाकात हो न हो लग जा गले. That's a few lines of Lag
thank you
Ja Gale.
so much. This was so beautiful, and such a nostalgic song.
So much, and
Naveen
I see.
Nigam is just said, "Superstar, my favorite song." Thanks for ending with this magical piece. Dipti Rash is there. She's sending you love, and
Thank you.
yes, and Arshad Mahmood says that's my favorite. I know. Okay, but Shweta, we will see you again, despite the song. What the song says, we will have you, inshallah, back soon in Canada on our stage, and we love you. We wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay home, keep singing, and let's have an album soon for Juno consideration. We love
Of
you.
course. Well, thank you so much for all the love. And I don't know if Tarun can see me or not, but I want to say a quick hi to Tarun as well. It's been
Yes,
ages since it's been ages since I've seen him, and I've always enjoyed watching Delhi to Dublin in concert. I remember my last time was in Ottawa in Canada, so they were fabulous. And I've also worked on one song with him.
absolutely. No,
Really,
we
really
love these
nice
guys. They're
to
supposed to perform
collaborate
for
with
us
him.
this year. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So hi,
thank you.
Tarun, and stay safe. And thank you once again, Asma, for having me. And lots of love to the entire team, Sumit, everybody, and we'll meet soon.
Thank you so much. You look after yourself. We love you. Mwah.
Take care.
Ciao.
Bye. Bye, guys. Bye, Tarun. Bye, everyone.
Bye. So this was this wonderful, wonderful Shweta Subramaniam. I always delighted to be with her every time we meet, and I really look forward to seeing her soon. And now we move on to Another wonderful Canadian talent, a band that I absolutely adore. I love these guys. They have the most positive, great attitude towards not only their own music but also towards performance. They're so helpful. Their manager is so amazing, outstanding, and I'm very happy to welcome Tarun Nayar from Delhi to Dublin. Hi, Tarun.
Hi, Asma. Can you see me?
I will be able to see you in a few seconds when I move these things around. Yes, Tarun. It's good to see you. How is Vancouver?
You know what? It's summer has not decided to arrive in Vancouver yet, so it's a little chilly.
Okay. Summer decided last week to arrive here finally, but I think it's going to cool down a bit with us as well. But it's been very hot, very hot. But listen, I'm not complaining. No way. My peas are coming out beautifully. All the vegetables are coming out nice. I'm happy. Great. But it's good to see you. And I'm sorry that Delhi to Dublin was to perform at Mosaic this year. But we're not getting the chance to put you guys on the stage, but we are putting you on spot. So it's good to see you here. I see you so active. So what have you guys been up to since the lockdown?
Well, as you know, there's not a lot of opportunities for gigs. So we had a really busy summer planned. We were playing, we were playing a bunch of different festivals all over North America. And it became clear, we were going to release some singles and some videos and stuff, but it became clear.
Sorry.
No problem.
My mistake.
I know we all have to become sort of amateur broadcasters now, right? We have to learn how to use all of this technology. Yeah. Okay. So it became clear in about March that we weren't going to be touring. So actually, all of us have sort of been doing our own thing. I run a festival myself, and I also manage artists and run a record label. And Sanjay lives on a little island with his family that's off of Vancouver Island. So he's sort of enjoying, some downtime. And Ravi, our dole player, lives in Nelson, BC. And so he's got a business out there. And Serena has a music school, our violin player. So, we're all kind of like doing our own online things, waiting for the world to come back.
I know, exactly. But you guys have been doing something really different. I saw something where you guys did a social distancing concert. So, hey, what was that about?
Well, I would say there's a group of us in Vancouver, younger. I mean, I'm not going to count myself amongst them because I'm not young anymore. But younger South Asian kids who are trying all sorts of crazy stuff. So a couple weeks ago, we decided to do a show. What we wanted to do, we were doing a show for a different festival, like a streaming concert. And we were like, well, why don't we shoot it? And why don't we just shoot it in a parking lot so that we can set up all of the gear and everything, and it will look really cool. And then as we started getting ready for the shoot, we were like, why don't we just invite our friends and they can stay in their cars? Because we're doing it anyways. So we might as well, no one's seen a show for a long time. So we might as well do a drive-in kind of a show. And so we invited 20 friends and they stayed in their cars. This was back at the peak where there was no relaxing of, the rules. And so people sort of got out in their sunroofs and partied, and stayed separate. And we did a whole show for them. I think it was, it feels so good to hear music outside, as you know. And that's one of the things that I miss, because we can watch all of these online things on Instagram and all the streaming. And I think that's really great. But there's something about when you're outside and the music is loud and you can see other people and you're underneath the sun or whatever it is, the clouds. It's a different feeling. And so it was nice to do that. Yeah.
I know what the feeling of outdoors. So we have a clip here, which Rakshan is just going to play for our audience. So Rakshan, are you ready with the clip? That was this amazing performance on Mosaic stage in 2015, I think. And it was our 10th year, and you guys just made our thing look so good. So tell me something, Delhi to Dublin. What is it that made Delhi to Dublin?
You know, a lot of people, I think, start musical projects with a fixed goal in mind. You know, they're like, we have this idea, we're going to do this, and then have this singer, and the sound is going to be like this. We kind of did it the opposite way, where there was a few of us in the local scene in East Vancouver, and there was a party happening, and we decided to try something, to do a collaboration on stage, but it was supposed to be once. So we got together, we did one practice, and then we did a party at this big club night. And it honestly, Asma, it sounded terrible, but we had a lot of energy, and I think that's kind of the way that we do things. You know, we sometimes don't. We don't map out things 100% ahead of time, but we know when we come in with good energy, people have a good time. And so that day in particular, I've seen the recording. It's terrible. But people loved it. There was the energy of something we were doing, mixing, some violin with some Punjabi stuff and some beats. And from there, it just sort of took on a life of its own. And next thing you know, we were playing in Ottawa, in less than a year on Canada Day for 150,000 people live. We met Will and Kate on their first trip to Canada, and we were on national TV. And my dad was just scratching his head, being like, "I thought you were supposed to be a biologist. Like, what are you doing up there?" So it really did. It really was a bit of a fairy tale beginning to the band. And then there's no way around it. We decided early on that we didn't want to just play Indian shows, like Desi shows. We wanted to play real, bigger festivals around North America and around the world. And that's tricky, we've been doing this for almost 15 years. And so there's some years where we were just grinding, playing 150, 200 shows a year, not being home for very often. So it went from, a fun idea to, wow, we're growing really quickly, to, wow, this is crazy, and I don't think we can survive this, to finding a middle ground that's a little easier to manage.
So how much do you think Dublin had the role in making you guys so successful?
Yeah, there's got to be a thing, right? And for there's got to be a gimmick or a something, and a twist. And in our case, I think that little thing, I think it really helped white people relate to us. Yeah. Honestly, and that's, I think, why it worked. That's why we played the Fillmore in San Francisco, and that's why we played, that's why we played the Palladium in Los Angeles. I don't think we would have gotten that opportunity. You don't see too many Desi artists getting that opportunity to play in those big white venues, or at Burning Man or Hardly Strictly Bluegrass in San Francisco. I think white people could relate to this white person on stage, and I'm half white as well. And I'm actually half Punjabi, half Irish Scottish. So I am Delhi to Dublin, as it were. So I think that allowed a little bit of connection to a mainstream crowd, which I think really did help us, because as I said early on, we decided we didn't want to, just be playing Desi shows. We really wanted to touch more people than that.
Fabulous. That's something we keep thinking about. We try even with Mosaic. We keep trying to bring those elements together. We did this concert with with Anwar Khurshid, who is a fabulous sitar player, and with these beautiful musicians from Montreal. So we try that, but you guys went ahead, you did it, you made it a professional gig and all that. Where do you find yourselves now at this time as a band, and what do you think is coming along, going to happen next for you guys?
Yeah, well, it's a really interesting time to be a musician. I would say, when we first started playing together, we used to, play 3 or 4 festivals in a weekend. And at each festival, we would make, $2,000 to $5,000 in CD sales. So this is a long time ago. This is 10 years ago or so. And so you finish the weekend, not only did you make the money from the gig fees, but you also made a lot of money from merch. And these things have changed. Streaming makes a very small number of people a lot of money, but the rest of people, if you're just doing, you know, a reasonable amount of streams a month, like you're not making enough to make a living on. So I think all of us over the last few years have realized that the proper balance is doing some nice bigger shows with Delhi to Dublin, and then doing, you know, our other things that we do. Like, you know, as I said, I run a festival and a record label, and, you know, Ravi has a business. And so that way we're doing what we love to do. We're coming together, but we're not having to grind it so hard just to survive. You know, when you're a full-time musician and this is the only thing you're doing, there's no way around it. You know, people make it look glamorous, but even the people that make it look glamorous are still grinding. It's still a grind. Like to make a full living off of music, you know, you have to be super determined to do it. So how it looks at the moment is that we found a balance with it where we can, you know, do when Mosaic opportunities like Mosaic comes up, we can go to Toronto, have a really great weekend, play, enjoy, you know, hang out with you guys, and then go home and continue our lives rather than putting too much pressure on because the economics of being a musician have changed fundamentally over the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Very true. So it's great to know that, you know, you guys have diversified your portfolios and you know, kind of made yourselves not dependent on just one stream. And I think that's always a very smart move for artists. But I believe that artists as creative persons should be able to, you know, fend for themselves at those times in their own creative ways, and that you guys are doing very well. What about the government funding for you guys in BC? I guess you guys have a good solid structure, just like we have in Ontario, or the way federal government supports us.
Yeah, we definitely funding in our peak was a very important part of the strategy, especially when we did a bunch of touring in the States, because oftentimes those gigs, you know, if we hadn't had any support, would have been very hard to make those tours work. Like, often the funding was the margin. You know, we would just squeeze by, and then the funding allowed us to actually, you know, pay ourselves something at the end of the tour. Now it's not as important because we're not as active touring. You know, I think the funding is really important when you're out there 200 days of the year and you're just doing that. And I would say Ontario really leads the country. BC is pretty good for the last 3 years, but Ontario has always, with the Ontario Music Fund, has always been, you know, I think that things have changed there slightly with the change of government. But I think Ontario has always sort of led the way. So we're not as supportive as Ontario, but still not that.
Okay. No, we are making a lot of sound. our cries got to the provincial government too, and yes, they're moving their steps. But tell me something. You sing as well. Do you sing like properly?
No, I'm the kind of person that if I sang, you'd be like, you know, you'd probably mute me and like pipe in some, you know, pipe Shweta's voice back in again, and we could just pretend like lip sync. So I sing like harmonies in the background, but that's not something that I do. I play tabla. I'm a tabla player by trade. And then I play instruments like this weird back of me, synthesizers. Yeah, I've always been into gear. So in the band, that's been my role. Is I write a lot of the music, and then I play a lot of the weird electronic.
Excellent. You know? So that means I have to that Diamond Dougal, when he comes in, we should prepare you guys together to switch the music and play the tunes for us. The dance
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yes, sorry.
And we've worked a lot with Diamond over the years. I mean, Diamond is a legend. So is he coming on the show as well?
Of course. I love those guys, and I feel like their grand aunt in Canada because we introduced them to Canada.
Nice.
And every opportunity I got, I just said, "Come over, guys." So on his way to LA, he would drop by and make the time period such that it would fit in perfectly with our festival time.
Yeah, Yeah, great.
So, yeah. But Tarun, tell me, I see that you are a very physically active person and you do a lot of yoga. I try to follow you on Instagram. You know, you're doing this mental health and fitness routine. How did that come about and how is it going?
Oh yeah, I think it's interesting because I think that the touring is actually what made me seriously commit to a daily practice. So growing up, I grew up in a Hindu household in Montreal, and my dadiji and my dadaji were the ones that kind of raised us because my parents were, busy doing their jobs. So I was always around this culture, but it wasn't until it wasn't until my life got crazy that I was like, I need something to ground me. I need something, especially, when we were in the heat of our touring, we would be, on the road for 200 days or 250 days of the year, and often waking up in a different hotel room in a different city every day. So it's very hard to, it can be very hard to, like, mental health for musicians, I think, is a challenge. And my way around that was to have like a really steady daily practice, which originally was kind of more devotional in nature. I'm a big fan of Amma, who comes to Toronto once a year. And so it was sort of, recitation of different mantras and, doing some yoga and stuff. And now over time, over the last 15 years or so, it's turned into more of a breath work practice, because I find that that's an amazingly effective way to calm the mind and connect with the body and the heart. And so when coronavirus hits, and all of a sudden all of my friends were sitting around with nothing to do, people started to go a bit crazy. And I was like, what's a thing? I can't go out there and help anyone in a hospital because I'm not a doctor. I'm a musician. So what can I do? So I thought, like, maybe what I'll do is a little session in the mornings for people who are feeling anxious or nervous, and we can just tune in. And I thought I'd be doing it for a week or 2 weeks, and I ended up doing it for, I think, 2.5 months every morning on Instagram. And it's great. My dad would tune in every morning, and my mom would come on. And, friends from all over the world would come on, and we'd sit together and do some breathing. And I think that especially in these times of rapid transition, it's good to have a practice that brings you back into your body and your heart.
All right, lovely. So how was your Father's Day?
It was great. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a father myself, but I phoned up all of the fathers in my life. And, my dad was happy to hear from me. He made sure he gave me lots of advice that I did not ask for. So, it was great.
You are very fortunate, trust me.
Yeah.
Very lucky. But Diamond Dugal is here. He has joined us. Hi, Diamond.
Hi, Diamond.
Yeah. And we are looking at things in really very personal way. I find so many artists have opened up. They've invited people into their homes, digitally, and giving them a view of their lives, which make them very human. And I'm loving that human quality of people, doing this. Not only is it the requirement of this time, and it is also, I think, the time where we all want to reach out, touch somebody, even if it is through internet. So it's wonderful to talk to you. You are always such a calming influence. You always send us such great messages, and I love working with you and Delhi to Dublin. I hope that you guys will come to Mississauga for TD Mosaic Festival next year. Inshallah, things will be better. We will have a cure. We'll all be having a different approach to life. But before we go, we've got another clip of yours, which we would love to share, and then you can say a little bit about it.
Okay,
Rashad,
is there any way that I can...
Another clip?
I
packed performance this was. We unfortunately the camera, we didn't get the proper sound for that year. So we use these videos which other people were making, and we put those in. We have very good video of your performance there, but we don't have very good sound on it. So one of these days we are going to send it to you so that you can fill in the sound, and then we are going to use it. But meanwhile, thank you very much. Shefali Ranjan, the chair of our board, is thanking you, as well as our board member Ajay Gupta ji and Arshad Mahmood. Thank you very much, Tarun.
Thank you all.
Please extend our love and greetings to your team and tell them we look forward to seeing them next year. Stay safe, stay home, stay healthy.
Thank you.
Love you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this session. On Thursday, I'll be with you with wonderful, beautiful Zabe Bangash, and she will be performing for you. She will talk with you. So send in your questions and enjoy with us. Thank you very much. This is TD Mosaic Noon Talks signing off.